Welcome back. It's a king to a prince, the royal code, and we back with another episode. This is chapter 9. Pops, how we doing?
We're doing good. I'm so happy to be back. It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
It sounds robotic, but it's been a long time though, man. I'm definitely happy to be back. Happy to be back with you on this. Happy to be back for the people, and we've just been real busy. We've been active, so it's not like we've been lacking. We've just been taking care of other things. So, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
No, I'm good. Just been working on some few projects. If you don't know, Kuma Reacts is out now. That's my new YouTube channel where I'm reacting to like all your latest like NBA content, sports highlights, like throwback highlights, all of that. Anything more that you want to see in the comments, just go and drop that down there. I'm gonna be reacting to it, but I really just been putting that energy into that. A lot of more plans too that I'm gonna keep on the hush right now because I don't want nobody stealing the sauce. But I got some dope like plans and projects that like I done mentioned to you a little bit, but I'm gonna get more into it as the months come along. But just be on the lookout.
Stay tuned. We want the people to stay tuned. So let me ask you this: when you're doing the reaction videos, is it more sports or is it everything?
Right now, I kind of want to get just towards sports, like specifically towards like the NBA, because I feel like I don't really want to lose my passion with it. I really want to stick towards like things that I'm genuinely interested in, because I'm not really focusing on it for the money right now. I really want to give out my opinion, my basketball like takes, like all of that. I feel like I have to give to the sport of basketball. So, because you never know, I really want to like this to flourish into something more like a journalistic opportunity as opposed to just like, blowing up off of reactions or anything like that. So I'm really just like kind of focusing on the NBA right now, but who knows, it could turn into, reacting to music, different other content that comes out, because I also enjoy that too. So yeah, I definitely have my opinions on that too. So it definitely could come out sometime.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I tried the reaction videos, but I was just like, okay, this is just not for me. So
you gotta really be tapped in. You gotta really like make sure like you talking to yourself the whole time. Like after the first one I finished, I remember I told my girl, I'm like, dang, yo, I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of hearing myself talk a little bit. It's like you gotta feel like that, but it's like, what it got to that point when I got to like video 3, 4, that I'm like, it's just really me here, like saying all the stuff that I be thinking anyway. So it's really just like, something that I could just like vibe out to, kind of just get like my own like basketball geek stuff out,
Exactly. See me, I love like talking. That's something that I've always done, even from music and acting, but I'm more now into voice acting, of course, podcasting, of course, droning, but it's like, it's one thing when you're reading a script and you're doing your voiceover. It's another thing when you're doing a podcast, but it's something totally different when you're sitting here and you got to keep the entertainment going, because if not, I'm just sitting there just watching the reaction and it's like, oh wait, I got to say something. So that's good. Like, salute to you for doing that, and salute to everybody that do those reaction videos. You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of good ones, and you don't realize this takes effort, this takes work, and it's also it takes confidence and courage to get out there and do it. Even people that have like solo podcasts or their own solo talk shows on the internet. It's one thing when you see these people like in front of studio audience and things like that. At least you're getting the feedback and the reaction off of each other. But it's another thing when you turn that camera on and you're just there by yourself, So that's good.
That's why, like, even with like the podcast aspect, it definitely helps me, because it's like it kind of like naturalizes a little bit more of my opinions, because like you start to think about the things that you agree with, the only things that you see from your point of view. So it's good to have like a different perspective like from anybody. So it's always good to like dibble and dabble into different things. So it's good to have the reaction channels, but I feel like this podcast and like the other things that I'm diving into is really just gonna like help my overall communication skills. But like you said, I do have a lot of respect for the people that get up and do this, especially like for like a job type of sense. Like this is their main source of like income for them to be doing every day. It's like to get up, to have that energy, to want to do the reactions and have your setup. like edit, do all that. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy. So especially if you're doing that on, like people you having 3-4 different channels, and then you're doing it on Instagram, TikTok, all these different platforms. So it's like it definitely takes a lot of work. So that nuance of that a content creator is like a lazy job is definitely not. It's definitely something that you gotta want to do. You gotta want to. And we haven't even touched on like just that writer's block, the ideas block to like just continuously come up with things that like, are fresh, new, original. So to have those things is just like, it takes a lot of skill.
And I can honestly say, I didn't really know about content creation until I actually spoke to you, and you kind of helped guide me into a path for even my own YouTube channel. Because, I remember when I started my YouTube channel, I had 4 videos. Now I'm at 30 something videos. You know what I mean? So it took a lot of time, effort, and progress, but it also, getting over that hill, you know what I mean? So, and you helped a lot with that in the sense of telling me, okay, this is what you got to do. You have to be consistent. You got to stay, dropping videos. You got to stay doing this. And then having, the other podcast that I was on, Juice from the Cuse, that helped a lot as far as getting in front of the camera, because, acting, you get in front of the camera, you already know your script. And it's just having that conversation within that scene. But when you're sitting there having a dialogue back and forth with someone, again, like you said, you got to be able to, keep the entertainment level. You got to keep the level of conversation going back and forth, because if not, what happens, it starts to get stagnant. You start to get boring, and it starts to get boring. And then I think you see a lot of content creators, they either, I'm not going to necessarily say fail, but they lose confidence in themselves, or they lose trust in that actual channel, and then they got to keep reinventing themselves, and then I think that's why you see a lot of them having multiple channels, and of course it does bring in income, because at the end of the day, you are doing this so you can make some type of living, or some type of impact off of it. So, and I know that's what it is for us, but it's bigger than the monetary aspect. You know what I mean? It's something that I enjoy doing with you, because I'm just seeing the feedback from the people that I talk to. People are asking, when is the next episode dropping? Like, to me, that makes me feel good, because even if it's one thing that's effective, I can appreciate that. So, again, salute to all those that do that, man. So that's good, man. So, what you think that's going on in the sports world? Let's talk about my boy, Mr. Dame Lillard. What's going to happen with Mr. Dame Lillard?
I don't know. I'm surprised that it's even taking him this long. A lot of it has to do with the injury, I think, that teams are kind of a little bit more wayward on where they want to go with him, where they want to sign him, because he's still getting paid from Milwaukee. That's what people like kind of forgetting. Like, he don't necessarily need a bag, but we know Dame is Dame, so he gonna want to get paid what he's worth, regardless. Even if it's like a 1-season deal, that's why I really think it's gonna go with him. Like, if a team is willing to commit to him for at least 1 season, maybe pay him around anywhere from like $17 to $20 million for the year. I think Dame is gonna take it. I think they'll take it, and he just really got to come back and prove that he's gonna be the same player after this Achilles injury, and then from there.
I don't mean to cut you off, but it's so crazy that you see that injury happening so much more now, man. Like, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen in the past, because injuries, like that are, it happens a lot. But I think this year you saw like 4 or 5 players like back to back having that, Achilles injury. So, it's tough. You get some players that do bounce back, and then you get some that don't really ever come back, to the same. So first and foremost, I hope that the healing recovery for him is good. I just seen Paul George was successul. I think he had the knee injury, I think.
He did have something like a hyperextended knee or something like that.
So, and as they get older, also, those injuries are very tough. The recovery period is even,
longer. That Paul George is up there.
and he's young compared, to
life, yeah.
And even to life, but at the same time, once you're in your 30s, those injuries aren't like how it is if you were a teenager, you know what I mean? So the bounce back does take, a little bit of time. And then remember, the wear and tear on his body, just like any professional athlete, it's a lot, because they're doing this every day. So
I really can't tell why there has been like a up spike, especially this last season, and those Achilles injuries. I've been seeing a lot it's like the negative step dribble where you kind of like sticking your leg back is actually how Tyrese, KD, and I believe one other player actually like sustained that injury because of the actual move they did where they like stepping back. So and it could just be like that pressure, and it's like I see that is usually happening in the playoffs for players that kind of have been playing a lot of games, a lot of minutes. So it could just be like that wear and tear on something that was like, eventually going to happen. Like if you were to keep playing these amount of minutes, keep moving this way, because a lot of them don't really have the best like fundamentals when it comes to landing, when it comes to making certain steps. And that's what we really forget because we forget like these are these pro athletes that, kind of have been playing the same way essentially since they've been like 15, 16 years old, just growing, getting stronger, getting faster, but they still have the same mechanics of how they used to jump from when they were in high school, which no high school student knows or even really pays attention to that, especially like 10, 15 years ago, to how you're supposed to be landing off of a dunk or how you're supposed to be, situating your footwork when you're coming down or you're making a move, because that's just not things that you're paying attention to. You're kind of just out there freely playing fun. But these are things that can eventually turn into something that have some wear and tear on your body. Like you keep landing in a certain type of way, which is eventually, I think that's what happened to D Rose. It was the consistency of him landing the way that he was, that his knees were ended up deteriorating over time. So eventually going to deal with.
He was going in trying to dunk on 7-footers like it was nothing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's cool that you're saying that, because you're also speaking from your own experience too, because you've played from elementary to junior high to high school to college to now even in your league. You know what I mean? So you have seen that. Of course, your game changes, you modify it in certain ways, but at the same time, you're still playing the same way that you did when, like you said, when you were like 13, 14, 15 years old, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely been an interesting NBA offseason, though. I think a lot of teams are kind of just choosing that either we're going to compete, go full in, like kind of like the Magic, the Hawks, I've been seeing that, or you're kind of just going to like tank silently and just like, go with the flows of the season, like the Bulls, for example, even the Pelicans. Like, I don't really think that they made this Jordan Poole trade having in mind that they were going to compete for a championship anytime soon. So I think they kind of just like, going with the flow, seeing who they can pick up in the draft, see if they can get one of those generational players. And until then, it's kind of like you just filling seats in the stands, because you don't really care what's coming out of the season. It's really just a throwaway season for you. So that's the vibe that I've been getting from a lot of these like trades and signings. It's like just place fillers, just like a filler NBA season. Everybody has the Knicks, the Cavs, and I want to say the Hawks even as that kind of, the Hawks and the Magic as that top three contenders in the East, and then the West is looking like, OKC is just about to run through them again. We haven't really seen those significant changes for the Timberwolves, so I don't really see them getting back to that same point with this team when other teams are getting significantly better. The Rockets are getting significantly better. Dallas has gotten significantly better. So all these other teams are improving. Y'all kind of just staying the same, which is still a Western Conference Finals team, but at the end of the day, I don't think that they will be able to sustain that without improving or adding some new pieces. And they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was a big defensive piece for them too.
Exactly, yeah, because he went to Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, because you mentioned Dallas, how do you think Cooper has been playing?
Cooper's looking like a young Bron. I'm not going to lie. He looks nice. Yeah, he looks
and
good.
I see Dallas is taking him out of the Summer League, I guess that, but I understand that, though, because, when you look at a player like him, he is such a high commodity that you kind of, to me, I've always looked at the Summer League for a couple of reasons. Is to get people, get the body warmed up, get them, back, get into the spirit of everything. But you also are observing and watching these players to see where they're going to fit in, what position you're going to run them at, and how they're going to vibe with the team. But when I looked at him, even, looking at Bronny, which I was happy to see Bronny out there playing, because he seemed like he'd improved a lot, which I knew he was. But when I look at Cooper, I saw one game, I actually saw the Lakers game. No, not the Lakers game. It was the other game. When he played Dylan Harper.
Oh, yeah, against the Spurs, yeah.
The boy was balling. And
he looked good.
I'm like, yo, this kid is like, I see why Dallas can kind of hold their head high, especially after losing Luka. I would have loved to see Luka and Cooper, but at the same time, I think what they picked up is what he's going to actually be coming into. I think that's going to be cool. And, it's good because he's actually coming in a team where he has 3 solid veterans with him. And on top of that, a great coach, so you can't go wrong with having Clay, who is a multiple NBA champion, Kyrie, who's an NBA champion, even AD, who's an NBA champion, so he's coming into a team with a lot of knowledge. So, I think that's good for him. So I'm really looking forward to like the NBA season, watching him, how he goes. So
yeah, I was really impressed with him and Dylan Harper those both games, because Coop just looks really comfortable. And what I like about him, that despite having a bad game that first game, he was still coming out, putting up shots. Like, he didn't look like he was losing any amount of confidence, like coming in the game. And that's important because all eyes are on him at this moment. He caught a poster. Like, he was just looking good. He was playing defense, and that's really what I like to see. And like, what we got to realize too, especially NBA fans, is like he's playing against, probably like the best defenders on a night-to-night basis. But although it is the summer league, he isn't going to be getting that much defensive attention when he steps into the league throughout the course of the 82-game season. Once you got players like AD on the floor that is going to need, a double team. You have Daniel Gafford that is a lob threat. You also have Clay on the wing that is a shooter. So it's like it's going to be less attention on Coop, which is going to be more opportunity for him to thrive in those situations. So he could come out and have a bigger season than maybe like we were anticipating. Because I don't really take too much stock into summer league. As long as you want to see that a player has confidence and they're not going to let one bad game or one bad shooting night affect them, then that's all you really need to see. And that's what we've seen from Coop. And Dylan Harper looks like an NBA starter right now. So that's really impressive too.
Yeah.
Because 6'6", that size, he's moving just as fast as your average point guard. So that's really good to see too. And he's playing defense. Like, I seen him on a 4-1 break. He caught a block and just going up.
Yeah.
So that was good. I was like, yo, he's definitely playing defense. He's gonna get out there. So I hate to see him in a situation like San Antonio where he's maybe not going to get the ball right away and maybe get as much shine as he needs. But career-wise, it's probably like the best case for him because he's been into a winning situation. He's playing with Wemby, who's going to be there for, maybe the next 10, 15 years with himself. So it's going to be exciting to see over like you said, the course of the NBA season. I'm excited to see those two.
And he'll have De'Aaron Fox, who will also be a mentor. Yeah. And even though Pop is going into the office, Pop is still going to be a lot of hands-on with everything with, the Spurs. So it's going to be good to see, man. Definitely. Yeah, so it's something I'm looking forward to. It's I can't wait, and then but first we got football season coming up, so that's gonna be good, man. So
I'm excited to see what Shedeur can do. I'm excited.
Me too.
I hope they give him some burn just to get that narrative out of the way that they didn't really want him, that this was like some kind of like charity pick. Just throw him out there, see what he can do, and then like from there on, just let him like react to him and treat him like a football player. Don't treat him like he's like anybody else or celebrity. Like, just grade him and base him off his performance, and then we go from there. Like,
because and that's the thing when it comes to a quarterback, it just comes to what you got to put him out there. That's the only way a quarterback is going to become not even necessarily a legend, but just become a good, solid quarterback. Because even I'm not going to say it in this sense like the worst quarterbacks, but even they got out there. We got that opportunity to see them to say like, okay, that really isn't the way what we thought that that quarterback was going to be, but. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. I can't wait to see what my 49ers are going to do. That's going to be different because they brought back also Robert Saleh, which I'm happy. I wish he never left, but he's back. So, and I hope now, like my biggest thing is I'm not taking nothing away from him, but I'm not really a Kyle Shanahan fan. I think he's too hands-on into every decision. I think at some point you gotta trust your offensive coordinator, exactly. You gotta trust your defensive coordinator, and you gotta trust your players. I think at some point you have the final say. We know you're the head coach, but at the same time you gotta allow these men to do their job that they're great at. Because if that was the case. They wouldn't have they wouldn't have all these other coordinators. So, I hopefully we'll see a difference in them. And I'm just looking forward to just the whole start of it. You know what I mean? Like I love the action packed of it. So it's gonna be good, man. Yeah.
Let's get your prediction for their record this season.
Who, the 49ers?
Yeah.
I hope they go undefeated, but I know
that is not happening.
That's not gonna happen. I honestly, what is it?
16 games ago. I give them a solid 9-7.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that to them. I'm gonna give them at least 10-6. We gonna.
That's fine. That'll get them into the playoffs, the wild card, right?
We might even be 12-4. Like I said, 4. I was right with OKC, so I'm gonna be right this year with the 49ers.
You was right. This could be the year of your teams.
Yeah, it should be.
Speaking of OKC, how you feel about Shea making the cover at 26? You feel like that's right? I feel like that's the first time 2K done got it right in a long time with their cover athlete.
Now, I've seen a few covers. Now, I know Shea is it 3 individuals covers or is it 3 on the same cover? Because I've seen Melo, Caitlin, and him.
Yeah, it's like 3. It's like a regular edition, the WNBA edition, and there's a a Hall of Fame edition. I think that's the one that Melo's on. So I think that's how they're doing it with those 3 different colors. But
okay,
it's nice that Melo got a cover, but like he should have got a cover at least like on his 2013 run. I don't even remember who was on the cover of 2013 for real. I think it was like D Rose, Blake, and KD or something like that. Like,
yeah.
That was Melo's time for the cover. Like this is just like they just trying to get the hood fave on there, see who really gonna like come and buy the game again. So I'm not too.
I think so too in that sense, and I mean it's good for him. But at the same time, it's like I get what you're saying. Like I understand when they did when they did the Kobe edition. I don't know if. I don't know. I'll see. I'm a big fan of it. I always do go for the Hall of Fame. So, but we'll see how this is. I think with Shea, though, they did get it right. I think he deserved that. He proved himself in all aspects in the NBA this year. So I think by giving him that cover, I think it was an honorary decision. I think that was the right decision for them, So, what you think about it?
I think it was good because it's like, when's the next time we're going to see the MVP, the Finals MVP, and the champion, like in the same season? I don't think we're going to see that again. I think that's a really hard feat to do. I think they said we haven't seen it since like Jordan or something like that. Maybe since like one of those.
They did say he did break those numbers. Yeah.
So like that's a pretty tough feat. So I think that was the first time 2K kind of got it right. There's no like back and forth on the cover. So I just wanted them to focus on a game. I want it to be an actual good game to get us back excited playing 2K again. But even the Angel Reese cover, I feel like it's all just a ploy just to get people talking about 2K that wasn't talking about 2K months ago, because the game is kind of dying out now. So they kind of doing like these last efforts. I hate to see that kind of marketing campaign from a company that, like, you know, I've supported over the last few years, last decade almost, because it's like the game was solid, but now it's just kind of like you dealing into like these microtransactions, these like obvious rage baity like marketing schemes, like trying to get the hate for Angel to sell. It's real corny. So hopefully Live does make that comeback. I've been hearing a lot of like rumors that NBA Live is making a comeback, especially with
really.
Yeah, so that would be good to see. Like, I don't know how Live is going to be, because when I actually did look at some graphics from NBA Live 2019, I was like, dang, this is really what we was playing. But it was probably good for the time. So
yeah, and I said Caitlin Clark. I meant to say Angel Reese. My apologies on that. But
yeah, that's how it goes. That'd be the discourse around it, because everybody's thinking like, yeah, it would be Caitlin Clark, but even if we look at Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, neither one of them is having the best season in the WNBA right now. So it's like, there's like 4 to 5 other like female players that are like have outstanding numbers. There's A'ja Wilson, there's Sabrina Ionescu, there's Kelsey Plum. Even like she's probably on one of the worst teams in the league, but she's hooping like she's
hooping this year. Yeah. So. Yeah, okay. So,
you know,
well, it's interesting. We'll see, because it comes out in what, September, I think.
I think one of the versions come out, because you know how they do like those early releases, late releases. One of them probably come out September. The other one probably like late September, something like that. But yeah, we'll see.
You know me, I'm a 2K head, but I gotta see. They gotta get all the bugs out of the way first, so I gotta see.
Yeah, I'm honestly probably gonna wait till Christmas.
I would always get it, then it would be like update. You gotta do the update. Then it was like, all right, now I gotta delete my My Player and recreate it again, and then you spend all that money. So you know, I was a fanatic with that VC, so then I was just like, you know what? Let me just hold off, because spending all this money on this, and then you know, always redoing it and waiting for updates. So we'll see how it is, though. You know, that's cool though. I think for any of them though, making that cover, I think it's a good look for them. You know, but at the same time, when you're trying to, you know, play this game into the marketing scheme, I think that's when it starts to get a little corny, you know.
Like, it takes away your credibility.
Mediocre, so. It does. So, we'll see, though.
Yeah, but
let me ask you this question, you know. What's some of the, you know, getting off of the sports topics, what's some of the best advice you've ever, you know, got for yourself, and you still apply it today?
I honestly can't tell you where I've heard this, or maybe I read it somewhere, but that's how you know it's something that really stuck with me. But it was like, don't let temporary satisfaction, you know, steer you away or take you away from your goals that you really want to achieve. That basically just meaning like, don't let those like temporary moments, like going out, having fun, you know, if it comes down to like you know, decision makings that you have, like, don't let that temporary satisfaction of something that you want, even if you signing a contract for something that's going to give you this amount of money, but you know, over time that's not really the best situation for you, then it's like that's really those things that you really got to hold true to yourself. Like, what's going to be really important to you? Does these things match your goals for the next 5 years, or do these decisions that you're making right now align with the morals that you've had? Like, all those things got to be taken into account. So never let that temporary satisfaction or that temporary success or that temporary feeling you have like outweigh what you want long term or what you want to sacrifice. So that's really one of those. That's some of the best pieces of advice I can say. Like I've heard or I've read somewhere that is really something that I apply to myself every single day. Because even down to those little things, like when it, like even down to the things I eat, like I gotta understand, like, is this gonna make me feel good? Is this gonna be good for my body? Like all those little things. So that temporary satisfaction got to come down to like those little decisions you make every single day that's going to be best for yourself.
Yeah, that's good. You said that, even like you said, you apply it to your body, because health and wellness and fitness, that's very important. I know we've always stressed about people going and taking care of themselves, going to the doctors, and just doing everything that they have to do to prolong their lives. When you, like you said, you look at the temporary satisfactions, even when it comes to like food or alcohol or drugs, whatever. Yeah, you're there for that moment, but the long-term impact, people don't think about that. People don't look at 5, 10, 15 years from now, because they're just like, oh, okay, I'll be better tomorrow. And it's like sometimes tomorrow you're worse, so definitely take care of yourself.
What about you? What's the best advice you?
Well, I got two. The first one comes from your grandmother. Of course, my mother is let go and let God. I think a lot of times we try to force things. We try to put ourselves in situations, because us as humans, we look for the quick results. We look for the fast comeback, and sometimes you get it fast, you lose it even faster. So I think when you learn to let go and let God, you allow his timing, because he moves off of his time, not off human time. You learn to gain patience, and I think when that happens, you get wisdom, you get an understanding of your surroundings, yourself. And when you do get whatever you're trying to reach, or whatever you're trying to become, or whatever you're trying to do, when you do let go and let God, when you do get that, it's so much more rewarding. So that's one thing I've always applied, and she taught me that when I was young, when I was a young child, and it's hard teaching that to a young child, because I've told you things and it's just like, well, I want to get it right then. So I definitely understand that. The next piece of advice I've learned to follow: in order to achieve the greater in you, you have to suffer in some sense, and not meaning suffer in a negative way, but there's sometimes we got to get up and go through in our day-to-day and just life in general, doing things that we don't want to, doing things that we hate, doing things that even if it's coming down to working out, even if it's coming down to going to a job that we don't like, you got to go through that. And when you do go through that, what eventually starts to happen, you start to become so much stronger within that. So you're breaking down all of that, whether it's a weak mentality or a weak feeling or weak behavior. So you're going through it. And once you do go through it, then you start to see like, man, this really wasn't nothing. And then now you're looking at that with that mentality that I'm able to achieve anything. So to become the greater you, go through whatever it is that you have to, and it's not easy. Life ain't easy, but we're all striving to be something better and become better for ourselves. So the more you do that, I think you'll start to see like, what, I can handle this. So that's really something that I apply to myself more, I could say, maybe in the past 10, 15 years of my life. But yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, and that's really how like they tie back into each other, because it's like those things that you may not want to do are those temporary satisfaction. Like if you don't want to get up and go to work, like it may be good to like sleep that extra 30 minutes, but you end up losing your job, and that end up like causing friction for you at home, or starting problems for you like paying other bills, and it's just all a cycle effect. So there's going to be a lot of things that we may not want to do in life that we may prefer doing something else or prefer, just chilling or kicking back and being lazy. But those things that we want to pursue, those goals that we have, those dreams that we want to accomplish are all going to be done when we are doing the things that we don't like to do, when we waking up early,
Exactly.
when we working out, when we eating the healthy food that's maybe not the tastiest that we would like at that time, but it's all sacrifices that we need to make. So that's something that you're right. Like I've seen and noticed that with you in the last like 10 to 15 years, which is also important. That I'm also happy about. Like I can say like, yo, my dad does a lot of different things. Like he tries different things. It's never something that he's been like afraid to try, whether it be something that's in tech and media and marketing and like working out, fitness, like all those different things like you've been able to try. So it's always been something that's like, all right, I can basically try anything because like my dad done tried it. He didn't show me like different ways I can go about even trying it, some ways that he didn't do it or some ways that he even learned how to do it. So you just got to be willing to open your mind up and be willing to try new things, because you never know what's going to be that right situation for you outside of what you're doing or maybe what you love to do. You just got to make those sacrifices and see what's really right for you, see what's best for you, see what's going to make the biggest impact on your life, and you go from there. You see what little things that you can change, what little things you can implement from everyone else, and the advice you get in that you can intake that and be the best you that you can be.
Exactly, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you,
Yeah,
because I see also within you also like your growth. Like you have inspired me to not only become a better father, you and your sister, but also to become a better version of myself. So because my life really changed the 360 when I found out about you. You know what I mean? And when eventually you were living with me, it even became even more, and then, having your sister, it started looking at I had to get out of the selfishness, and start looking at, okay, well, it's, of course, we all want to be able to leave our kids and our family that generational wealth, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way right then and there. So, you got to go through it. But eventually, everything that I do is always for the greater good for, of course, my kids, my wife, my mother, my siblings. That's very important to me. And of course, family and friends, too. I know I can't please everybody. Nobody's going to. It just, so I look at the people that are most dear to me and where I have the most biggest impact and vice versa. So, but what I can say about you is you always have been goal orientated and you know what it is that you want, and you don't allow anything or anyone to deter you from that. And you know what I mean? From when you were younger, when you said you wanted to play sports, you wanted to play basketball, and you did it. You played ball on a college level. It's not saying that you couldn't have, but it didn't go that way. So you decided you wanted to do music, and you did music. You wanted to do video production, and you've done that. You became a business owner. So, that right there, especially at that young age, is so important, because what you're also doing is preparing yourself when you do have kids, when you have a son and a daughter, or, however many kids you do have, you've already have showed them the examples of yourself. So now at least you know what you're not going to tolerate from them in that sense. Like, if you went to high school, you went to college. So your kids have to at least graduate high school. You know what I mean? And I think right then with you're showing them like, listen, sky's the limit. You got to put yourself through it. You got to do it. I did it, and a lot of the times we don't realize when we're going through something, it may not be for us. It may be for somebody else. It may be for our kids. It may be for our grandkids. It may be for our nephews and nieces. It may be for a friend, So I'm very proud of you for doing that, becoming that, and you're still becoming that. You're young. So the one thing I used to always tell you, son, the person you are right now 10 years from now, you're going to be a totally different person. You know, things that you went through and going through even 10 years ago, you can see a difference from where you are today. So just imagine 10 years from now, you know, and everything is changing. The world is changing. But the good thing about you and your generation, and which I've learned from this generation, is how to continue to be steps ahead of things, you know, because I don't want to be 50, 60 years old still thinking about the past. No, I want to be 50 and 60 years old still up to date with everything, you know. And I see it in my mother. I see, you know, and you know, God bless, she's in her 80s and she's still with the technology. She's still with everything, you know. So those are the things I think that's important. So, you know, but definitely, man, this has definitely been a good episode. Happy to be back. And we gonna keep coming, so you know, get used to these faces. You know what I mean? Get used to these smiles.
On. Get ready to see us everywhere. We about to be coming with more and more content for y'all.
Definitely, and go ahead, drop your plug of your new YouTube channel.
Yo, so y'all can check me out. Check out all my NBA reactions at Return of Kumi. That's Return of Kumi. Got that? Y'all gonna see everything I got there. More stuff coming out for sure.
And I'm gonna tag you. I'm gonna tag that also. So you know, once we get that all together. So again, this is the Royal Code, King to a Prince, and we're out. Love is love.
Yeah.
Peace.